Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Smackdown and AEW Rampage review. Smackdown tonight was from the CHI Health Center in Omaha, Nebraska, while Rampage was taped at the PNC Arena in Raleigh, North Carolina. Smackdown tonight, as always, horrendous show, fucking terrible show, as always. We had Aliyah making her singles debut on SmackDown tonight against Natalya, and she ended up setting a record, which I'll get to explaining. We had a fatal four-way match to determine who will be the next challengers for the Usos. So we had the Viking Raiders and Lotharios, Angel and Humberto, Cesaro and Mansoor, Jinder Mahal, and Shanky. All those guys were in the fatal four-way match. We had Madcap Moss, the Riddler, versus Kofi Kingston. Yeah, sounds interesting, right? And then we had Sheamus versus Ricochet. And I'll let you all guess who won that match. Overall, SmackDown, horrendous show, as always. But let's jump right into the review. SmackDown opened up tonight with the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, the Usos. So they end up coming out. Michael Cole ended up showing us the street fight from last week, where they end up winning the match over the New Day. And Michael Cole ended up saying that Xavier Woods, King Woods, is out due to a injury, due to a muscle injury. So, pretty much, Xavier Woods is out. He's going to miss the Royal Rumble. So, we had the Usos. They end up getting on the mic. Both of the Usos, Jimmy and Jay, end up giving props to the New Day, saying that they're the one team to always take on them to the limit. So I ended up going on about letting everyone know that they are the best tag team and that they are number one. And WWE is going to have SmackDown at the Barclays Center in Brooklyn on March 25th. And once again, we're going to get the Usos versus the New Day for the 2000th time. Enough already. Enough already with these teams, these two teams going at it. It's the same shit. Like, how many times do they gotta milk the Usos versus the New Day? How many times? Same shit. So, the Usos end up saying that it doesn't... So the Usos end up saying that WWE officials are lining up their opponents and they're ready to knock them down. So they end up saying that a fatal four-way has been booked to determine their next challengers. So Jimmy and Jay end up introducing the tag teams in this fatal four-way. So they end up introducing first Los Lotharios, Angel, and Humberto. Then they introduced Cesaro and Mansoor. Then Jinder Mahal and Shanky. And then the last ones to come out were the Viking Raiders, Eric and Ivar. So the Usos, they joked about the rules for the match, and they ended up saying that the most important rule is they are number one. So they end up delivering super kicks to both Mansoor and Eric. And we had a brawl breakout between these teams. And that was basically that. But overall, it was just, the Usos coming out there, saying that they are number one, and they're ready for the next challengers when, the tag team division on SmackDown is fucking terrible. overall, just very meh segment to open the show. And then we had the Fatal 4-Way, Viking Raiders versus Lotharios versus Cesaro and Mansoor versus Jinder Mahal and Shanky. No one contenders, Fatal 4-Way to determine who will be the Usos' next challengers. And this was a decent Fatal 4-Way. This was a fun match, in my opinion. So, the Usos were on commentary throughout the match. We had Mansoor and Humberto go at it as the Fatal 4-Way kicked off. Mansoor delivered 2 atomic drops to Humberto, and he ended up sending Humberto out to the floor. So, we had Humberto end up coming back into the ring. He got on the top. He got caught by Mansoor. Mansoor delivered a 3rd atomic drop to Humberto. So he tagged in Cesaro. Both Mansoor and Cesaro double teamed on Humberto. Eric tagged in and he took out Cesaro and Mansoor. Eric then faced off with Angel, and Shanky ended up coming in. He tagged in. Angel made his way out of the ring. Shanky ended up working on Eric of the Viking Raiders, taking Eric into the corner. Shanky tagged in Jinder, and Jinder and Shanky ended up double teaming on Eric. Shanky tagged back in. He delivered a boot to Eric and some elbows in the corner. Shanky then tagged back in Jinder Mahal. So Jinder ended up taking over on Eric. So Ivar ended up coming in, and Ivar and Shanky were legal later on in the match. Ivar ended up knocking Lotharios off the apron, started unloading on Shanky. So we had later on Jinder and Cesaro. They ended up trying to go for a double superplex on Ivar. Ivar resisted that. And so Eric ended up running back in, and he turned it into a powerbomb, which, he slammed Ivar, Cesaro, and Jinder down to the mat. And at the end of the match, we had the Viking Raiders end up winning the match, where they end up catching Humberto, and they delivered the Viking experience to Humberto. And there you go. The Viking Raiders win the match, and they are the number 1 contenders for the Usos. They're the Usos' next challengers. Post-match, Viking Raiders end up standing tall. The Usos end up interrupting from the announce table. They were talking trash to the Viking Raiders. Eric and Ivar were staring them down. And pretty much that was basically that. So the Viking Raiders, they're going to challenge the Usos. They're the Usos' next challengers, and we're going to face them for possibly the Smackdown Tag Team titles. So overall, very fun Fatal 4-Way match. It was a decent match. And then we saw Sonya Deville. Sonya Deville was backstage, and Naomi ended up walking in. So Sonya Deville ended up commenting on it being cold in the office. Naomi ended up saying, "Oh, cold, just like your heart," as she said to Sonya Deville. So Naomi ended up knocking Sonya Deville for being such a liar. She ended up saying that toying with her is one thing, and that she won't let it slide when Sonya Deville interferes in her career and also messes up her title shot. Naomi then ended up threatening Sonya Deville, and Sonya Deville reminded Naomi how she can't touch her when she has her suit on, because that makes her Naomi's boss. So Sonya Deville then ended up threatening Naomi's job, saying that Naomi shows up with main character vibes when everyone knows she's just an extra. Deville ended up telling Naomi to keep her hands off her unless Naomi wants to get fined or even removed from the Women's Royal Rumble, or perhaps even fired. So Sonya Deville was like to Naomi, the choice is yours. Naomi ended up saying fine, and she ended up walking out of there. Adam Pearce ended up coming in. He ended up commenting on how cold it is in the office. So they were messing with the heater, and apparently the heater wasn't working. So pretty much that was basically that. But WWE, where are they going with this Sonya Deville Naomi storyline? They're just dragging it out. This has been going on since August. It's time to put an end to this storyline between Naomi and Sonya Deville. How much longer can they drag this out? Are they going to drag it out till WrestleMania? And then at WrestleMania we're going to get Sonya Deville versus Naomi? Tell me that Naomi versus Sonya Deville is a WrestleMania worthy match. It's not. It's not. Watch, they're going to drag this whole thing out, and at WrestleMania we're possibly going to get that. Naomi versus Sonya Deville. They're just dragging this storyline out since August, and they don't know what to do. WWE, I feel like they don't know where to go with this Naomi Sonya Deville storyline. It's time to put an end to it. Watch we get this match at WrestleMania. If WWE decides to do that. And then we had a Road to Royal Rumble video on Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns, where they're looking at the history between the two of them. So they end up showing, the Shield video package with when they were in the Shield. So I'm like, this whole video packages are of Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns when they were part of the Shield. And then we went to Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn ended up making his way out, and we had a stunt segment called Insane, where Sami Zayn vowed to out-jackass star Johnny Knoxville. So Sami Zayn ended up getting on the mic. He ended up saying that the conspiracy against him has gone on for too long. Begin with how he was robbed for the Intercontinental Championship. But finally, he's getting back to where he retains the gold that belongs to him. Sami Zayn then ended up bringing up Johnny Knoxville, showed us what happened between them last week, where Knoxville ended up throwing Sami Zayn over the top rope. And when he did that, he is now part of the Royal Rumble match. He earns a spot in the Rumble match, which is a waste of a spot. So Sami Zayn ended up saying that Johnny Knoxville is actually great. So he ended up announcing that he is officially entering the Royal Rumble. So Sami Zayn's going to be in the Royal Rumble matchup. He also wanted to say that Johnny Knoxville thinks he can do anything he can, but Johnny Knoxville can't. Sami Zayn ended up saying that he can do whatever Johnny Knoxville can, and that he will show that to the world. He wants to say that everyone knows about Jackass. I think the young demographic who watches WWE nowadays, they don't know about Jackass because Jackass is, early 2000s, and some of the fans that watch WWE nowadays are probably too young to remember Jackass. You have to be in your 20s, mid-20s to know about Jackass. But he ended up saying, get ready for the most spectacular stunt show on TV. And that is insane. So we had an intro play for this Insane. So after the intro was over, Sami Zayn was at the top of the ramp. He was sitting down in a shopping cart. Of course, they did this on Jackass, where the Jackass, guys end up sitting in a shopping cart. So we had two assistants, two guys. They were dressed in black, and they were ready to push Sami Zayn in the cart down the ramp. So there was a wooden ramp that was set up at ringside. Sami Zayn ended up saying, hey, he's going to jump the ring, which that would be a failure if that happened. So Sami Zayn ended up hesitating. He ended up counting to 3. So the guys end up pushing the cart with Sami in it, but Sami ended up stalling. He was also wearing a bike helmet. So he was getting ready to go again. He ended up telling the assistants to push him full speed. So the guy started pushing him down the entranceway in the cart, and as they got to the wooden ramp, Sami Zayn was like, stop! So Sami Zayn ended up getting out of the cart. Fans were booing him. He ended up saying that he just wants to make sure it's safe. So Sami Zayn ended up saying to the fans, oh, don't you want to see me get hurt? So fans were cheering. Sami Zayn ended up saying that he is way tougher than Johnny Knoxville, but he doesn't want to get hurt for nothing. So Rick Boogs ended up appearing on the apron. Sami Zayn ended up saying that he is glad he's here. He ended up saying that Boogs can deliver a message to his buddy, Shinsuke Nakamura. Sami Zayn ended up ranting to Boogs. Nakamura ended up appearing behind him. Got a big pop from the crowd. Sami Zayn then turned around. Nakamura ended up leveling Sami Zayn with the Kinshasa. Boogs then ended up pressing Sami Zayn in the air. Boogs ended up pressing Sami Zayn in the air and then launched him down to the floor into the crash pads that were set on the other side of the ring. So Nakamura's music ended up hitting. Him and Boogs ended up celebrating. Of course, he had Pat McAfee rocking out to the music. He was rocking out next to Sami Zayn. That Sami Zayn was still on the pads, the crash pads. And pretty much that was that. But this segment, gotta love Sami Zayn, but this segment was absolutely fucking terrible. This segment was absolutely awful. And then you had Megan Moran. Megan Moran was backstage with Aliyah. This was Aliyah's singles debut on SmackDown. She ended up asking if Aliyah is nervous to make her singles debut. Aliyah ended up telling Megan Moran that she is all nerves and that she has dreamed about getting into the ring since she was a little girl. And now she gets to do that against Natalya, which Natalya is a Triple Crown winner. Aliyah ended up saying that she hopes she puts on a good showing and doesn't embarrass herself. So then Natalya ended up showing up. Natalya was carrying this year's Guinness Book of World Records book for 2022 this year. Natalya ended up saying that Aliyah will do awesome, and there's no shame in losing to her in her singles debut on SmackDown, because she is the winningest woman in WWE history. And that's just one of her Guinness World Records. So Aliyah ended up saying that she didn't know the Guinness Book was a real thing. So Natalya wasn't impressed with Aliyah saying that. So Aliyah ended up making her way out. And then SmackDown went to commercial. Then when SmackDown came back from the commercial, Aliyah was waiting for Natalya to make her way out. Natalya was backstage with Megan Moran. Natalya was bragging to Moran about her Guinness World Records and how important the book is. She kept saying that her 3 records symbolizes the 14 years she's dedicated to the company And that's why she's a clear favorite to win the Women's Rumble. So Natalya ended up bragging about her Guinness World Records, her 3 records for most matches of any woman in WWE history, and the most pay-per-view matches of any woman in WWE history, and the most victories of any woman in WWE history. So those are her 3 records. So Natalya ended up saying that tonight she will set another record by beating the record for the fastest match for a woman in the company's history, which is 3.8. So Natalya ended up making her entrance, and she made her way out. Natalya ended up sending her Guinness World Records book down in the corner, and we had Natalya going at it at Aliyah. The bell didn't even ring, so Natalya was just beating down on Aliyah, and Natalya started unloading with some stops in the corner on Aliyah. The referee was warning her. So Natalya was beating Aliyah around the ring. The referee couldn't restore order. So he finally ended up getting Natalya off Aliyah. The ref was checking on Aliyah, telling her to let him know if she's able to continue. So the referee ended up telling the ring announcer that Aliyah cannot compete. But Aliyah was begging, she was pleading that she could continue. So the announcement was made that Aliyah cannot compete, and then the referee ended up changing his mind. So Aliyah convinced the ref that she can still go. So the ring announcer ended up saying, Aliyah will continue with the match. So the bell ended up ringing, and Aliyah immediately rolled Natalya up for the win. And there you go. Aliyah ended up winning the match, and Aliyah set the fastest victory in WWE. This fastest victory for Aliyah went 3.17 seconds. So that was actually, Aliyah ended up setting a fastest victory record, 3.17 seconds. So there you go. And then we saw Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville. They were backstage watching. And they were still going on about how it was still cold in their office. And the thermostat, the heater wasn't working. So that was that. Then we had a video package between Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, the history between them. It was the moment where Rollins betrayed the Shield, where he ended up hitting the chair to Roman's back, breaking up the Shield, and Seth Rollins aligning with the Authority. And that was back in 2014. Shocking moment that was. And they did leave in Jon Moxley when he was Dean Ambrose. He was featured in this video package. So yeah, they showed Jon Moxley on WWE television. So, but that was a shocking moment back in 2014. And then we went to Michael Cole. Michael Cole was in the ring, and he ended up introducing 4-time Women's Champion and WWE Hall of Famer Lita. And this was Lita's appearance on Smackdown in 20 years. So she ended up coming out. She got a ovation from the crowd, a big ovation. And it was good to see Lita back. Of course, she's going to be in the Women's Rumble. So Michael Cole ended up asking Lita how it feels to be back in the ring. Lita ended up saying that she is home. So fans were chanting Lita's name. She ended up saying that it still gives her chills every time. Michael Cole then ended up mentioning how Lita inspired so many current superstars. And he ended up asking Lita why she's returning to the Women's Rumble this year. So Lita ended up talking about how she's had a wild ride and had so many career highlights. Of Of course, 4-time women's champion, her rivalry with Trish Stratus. Of course, her and Trish main evented Monday Night Raw in 2004, which that is a classic match, one of my favorite main event matches on Monday Night Raw. So Lita ended up saying that most days she is fully satisfied with her career. Until recently, as she never got the chance to compete in the Royal Rumble, because the Women's Rumble wasn't a thing when she was with the company, when she was around back then. So Lita ended up saying that it feels like she still has one more run in her, and that she has a plan to go through 29 other women, win the Rumble, and main event WrestleMania. And then out came Charlotte. Of course, we had to have Charlotte get involved. So Charlotte ended up coming out, got a mixed reaction from the crowd, of course. So Charlotte ended up getting in the ring. She took the mic from Michael Cole. She ended up saying that she's got this interview with Lita. And then this segment just went to shit when Charlotte was there. So Charlotte ended up asking Lita how she's doing. She cut off as Lita looked to respond, saying that she's not interested in Charlotte. Charlotte ended up saying that she didn't know it was Flashback Friday. She ended up going on about how she will win the Rumble and pick her opponent for WrestleMania. She wanted to say that Lita's little run will come to an end when she eliminates her at the Royal Rumble. Charlotte then ended up asking Lita how she will handle the humiliation when she ends her little comeback and crushes her WrestleMania dreams. Lita ended up saying that she heard about this version of Charlotte, and she ended up saying that she looks like Tanya Hardin. So Lita was wondering how Charlotte will eliminate anyone when she has this big head, which makes it look like she's about to tip over, which I laughed at when Lita said that, saying how Charlotte has this big head. So fans were chanting about Charlotte having a big head. Charlotte ended up saying that she can't hear them. She ended up saying that it was funny how Lita brought up her best friend, Trish Stratus. Charlotte ended up bragging about how she broke Trish Stratus at SummerSlam in 2019, forcing her to retire. Charlotte ended up saying that that's exactly what she will do to Lita at the Rumble. So Lita then ended up slapping Charlotte. Charlotte ended up turning back to Lita, and Lita ended up kicking Charlotte, dropping her with the twist of fate. Charlotte then ended up crawling to get back to her feet as Lita ended up making her way out. And that was that. But Lita being in there, this was all just for them to pop a rating and for Lita being back for the Women's Rumble. But that was that. But it was good seeing Lita. That ovation that the crowd gave her was really awesome. And like I said, this was her first time on SmackDown in 20 years. And then we had Megan Moran. Megan Moran was backstage with Sheamus. Sheamus ended up telling Megan Moran that Ridge Holland should be here with him, but he's at home, and that it's all Ricochet's fault. Now, if you all remember, Ridge Holland ended up suffering a broken nose at day 1. So Sheamus ended up going on about getting payback for Ridge Holland. He ended up saying that he will give Ricochet the beating of a lifetime, and he will see how he likes it when he's the one leaving the ring with a broken nose. Because, of course, Ricochet was the one who broke Ridge Holland's nose at day 1. So that was what Sheamus had to say. And then we had Sheamus versus Ricochet. Sheamus ended up making his way out. And then Ricochet made his way out. And Ricochet got new music, which sounds terrible, in my opinion. So Ricochet ended up cutting a promo saying about, being high risk and high reward, and how rewarding it will be to break the nose of Sheamus, like he did to Ridge Holland. So that was what Ricochet had to say in that little promo. So the match ended up starting. Both Sheamus and Ricochet were trading holds. Sheamus delivered a shoulder, had some more offense on Ricochet. Ricochet ended up fighting out of a powerbomb attempt by Sheamus. He had to send Sheamus over the top rope out to the floor. So Ricochet ended up decking Sheamus, ended up running the ropes. He nailed a dive over the top rope to the floor, out to Sheamus. So it was back and forth between them. Sheamus ended up trying to pull Ricochet back to the floor. Ricochet was fighting from the apron. So Sheamus ended up taking Ricochet's leg out, which sent Ricochet out to the floor. Sheamus had Ricochet under the bottom of the ring frame. Sheamus catapulted Ricochet's throat under the frame. And SmackDown went to commercial. SmackDown came back from the commercial. We saw Sheamus was dominated in the ring on Ricochet. But Ricochet ended up fighting back. He delivered some offense on Sheamus. Ricochet delivered a springboard crossbody. He ended up sidestepping a bro kick being delivered by Sheamus. So Sheamus was hung up on the top rope. Ricochet ran into a right hand by Sheamus. But Ricochet ended up coming back. He nailed a springboard lion salt to Sheamus. He went for the cover, which Sheamus kicked out at 2. Ricochet tried for the 450 splash, but Sheamus ended up moving. Sheamus came right back, delivered the Irish Curse backbreaker to Ricochet. Sheamus, after he delivered the Irish Curse backbreaker, he delivered the 10 beats of the Boudron, and then he knocked Ricochet back into the ring. Sheamus scooped Ricochet to his shoulders, and he took Ricochet up top. He was going for a super white noise, but Ricochet ended up sliding out. He kicked Sheamus several times in the face from the apron. Ricochet jumped back in from the apron. He nailed a sunset flip powerbomb on Sheamus. He ended up going for the cover, which Sheamus ended up kicking out. Ricochet scooped Sheamus on his shoulders, and Sheamus ended up fighting off. And Ricochet blocked the Alabama slam by Sheamus. He ended up rolling Sheamus up for a 2 count. Ricochet ran right into a bro kick by Sheamus. So Sheamus ended up going for the cover. And there you go. Sheamus ended up winning the match. And the continued burial of Ricochet continues. Ricochet has been buried to the bottom. So WWE is just keeping the burial of Ricochet going. When is Ricochet's contract up? Overall, very meh match. We all knew Sheamus was going to win. WWE, like I said, continues the burial of Ricochet. They see no value in Ricochet, and that is sad. Because Ricochet is talented. But like I said before, when is his contract up? When is Ricochet's contract up? And then we had Adam Pearce and Sonya Deville backstage. And now both Pearce and Sonya Deville were complaining about how hot it was in their office. And that thermostat was still not working. So Adam Pearce ended up saying that he's going to check with maintenance. Sonya Deville ended up taking off her jacket. And she turned around and Naomi walked in. So Naomi ended up pointing out how Sonya Deville didn't have her jacket on. She ended up saying, so no jacket means no boss, right? Adam Pearce ended up coming back in. He stood between Deville and Naomi. Naomi ended up asking Pierce to step aside because no one does anything about Sonya Deville abusing her power, and that she deserves this beatdown. So then Pierce ended up saying Naomi is right about her complaint over Sonya Deville getting involved in the match last week with Charlotte. So Adam Pierce ended up giving another shot to Naomi. So next week on SmackDown is going to be Charlotte versus Naomi in a championship contenders match. Oh my God, can we stop with these championship contender matches? Please? They are so pointless. So, pretty much, that was basically how the segment ended. So great. We got in Charlotte Flair versus Naomi again. And it's a championship contenders match. Great. Fucking great. And then we had Kofi Kingston. Kofi Kingston ended up coming out. Of course, Xavier Woods is injured. So then, when SmackDown came back from the commercial, we had a Road to Royal Rumble video looking at the history between Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, which was when Seth Rollins won the title at WrestleMania 31, which that was a awesome moment there. You know, Seth Rollins winning the WWE Championship. And that was a good WrestleMania. WrestleMania 31 was a very enjoyable WrestleMania. Probably one of the best WrestleManias. But after we saw that, Kofi Kingston was in the ring and he was reading a royal scroll that was written by King Woods, by King Xavier Woods. And Kofi was doing this accent, this royal accent. So it was also announced that Kofi will enter the men's Rumble. And then out came Corbin and Madcap Moss, the Joker and the Riddler. Corbin ended up saying that he's happy because he's rich and good looking and made so much money on NFTs this week that he bought a new $50,000 watch. And me and everybody in the crowd was like, nobody cares. Nobody cares that you got a $50,000 watch. You know what I'm saying? That the only thing that can make him happier is tossing Kofi at the Royal Rumble. So, of course, Corbin and Moss start laughing as they enter the ring. Corbin ended up saying that they haven't been this happy since they destroyed Drew McIntyre and injured his neck. And, of course, we had the replay from day one when they attacked Drew McIntyre. Moss ended up cracking a poo day joke, which was fucking lame. So Kofi starts uncontrollably laughing, just, mocking Corbin and Moss with their laughing. So he ended up saying that he planned to drop a royal deuce on Moss's forehead in this match. So all this was why they're having this match, Kofi and Moss, is because Moss cracked a poo day joke and Kofi said, "Oh, I'm going to drop a royal deuce on your forehead, Moss." So we're talking poo jokes. Fucking lame. This was lame. So then we had the match, Kofi Kingston versus Madcap Moss. Terrible match. Very boring. Moss ended up scooping Kofi up. He run him into the ropes. Kofi ended up countering, sending Moss flying out to the floor. Kofi ran the ropes, leapt out, taking Moss and Corbin down at ringside. SmackDown came back from the commercial. Kofi and Moss were still going at it. Moss ended up catching Kofi in a fallaway slam. He started unloading in the corner. Moss ended up stopping and punching on Kofi. Kofi fought back, started mounting some offense. He ended up ducking a clothesline attempt. He ended up dropping Moss with a right hand. And Moss ended up blocking the SOS later on at the end of the match. Moss kept going. He ended up dropping Kofi with the punchline. And that was that. Madcap Moss ended up winning. Who cares? Match was boring. Match was terrible. And then we had the main event segment. Seth Rollins ended up coming out. So Seth Rollins made his way out, started posing in the ring, and SmackDown went to commercial. Then when SmackDown came back from the commercial, we had the Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns. Of course, he ended up coming out by himself. The Usos weren't there by him. So Rollins was watching from the ring as Reigns ended up marching in. He raised the Universal Championship in the air, got pyro. Reigns got on the mic. He ended up calling on Omaha to acknowledge him before Rollins could even say anything. So the fans had a mixed reaction for Reigns. Some cheered for him, some booed. And then Rollins got on the mic. He ended up saying, "Let's acknowledge that this is quite a moment." Rollins then offered his fist for a Shield fist bump for old time's sake, for Reigns to fist bump him. And Reigns wasn't interested. Reigns ended up saying that is beneath him now. Rollins ended up saying, "Well, then let's acknowledge the look on your face when he showed up in his office last week." And Rollins ended up showing up in Reigns' office last week. Rollins ended up laughing. He ended up saying that it seems he's the last person on earth Reigns wanted to see. And why not? Because their track record in singles matches for titles is one-sided. Rollins then ended up saying that he won them all. So Rollins was bragging about that. And he was like, so why would Reigns want to see him? Reigns ended up laughing at Rollins for coming out here and talking about the past. He ended up saying that Rollins must be sleeping under a rock because he's in God mode these days. The head of the table, the tribal chief, the provider, the greatest of this generation, no questions asked, the greatest Universal Champion of all time, which makes him the greatest to ever do this. Rollins ended up telling Reigns that he didn't come out here to rain on his parade. He came to acknowledge him and everything he's done. Rollins ended up saying that he just has one question. Can Reigns look himself in the mirror at night and say he's accomplished all that by himself? Rollins ended up saying that that's the difference between them. He ended up going on about how he was climbing to the top while Reigns was riding the pine in the CFL, and how Rollins still had to hold his hand later on. He ended up asking if Reigns understands the difference yet. So Michael Cole on commentary ended up mentioning that Rollins was making good points at all this. Rollins went on to say that he created Reigns and that he can destroy him. So Rollins ended up laughing. Reigns ended up saying that Rollins is a waste of his time. He ended up saying that he looks and sounds like a clown because he is a clown, and that Rollins does not have the star power he has, and that Rollins won't reach the levels that he's reached, that Roman has reached. Reigns ended up saying that if he was looking for a megastar, he would not have chosen Rollins from Raw, or even choose Rollins from his household. Reigns ended up saying that if he wanted to headline the Royal Rumble with a megastar, he would have chosen Rollins' wife, Becky Lynch. So then we had the Usos. They ended up trying to attack Rollins from behind. Rollins ended up ducking. He ended up retreating out to the floor. He was standing on top of the commentary table. The Usos ended up coming out of the ring to attack Rollins on the floor. Rollins ended up sending, I think it was Jimmy, into the ring steps. He ended up getting back into the ring. He was staring Reigns down. He quickly retreated back out to the floor as the Usos ended up running back in the ring. Rollins quickly headed up to the stage. He was laughing. He was ranting about how he created Reigns and will now destroy him. And then that was how SmackDown went off the air tonight. That was how it ended. But overall, this should be a good matchup here at the Royal Rumble between Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. Looking forward to it. Rollins was making some good points here about Roman. Rollins knows all about Roman because they were in the Shield together. They were, of course, brothers when they were part of the Shield. But it was a decent segment to end SmackDown. But overall, horrendous show, as always, for SmackDown. Just absolutely terrible. Now moving on to AEW Rampage. Rampage was a good show tonight. We had Adam Cole take on Trent Beretta. Shawn Spears versus Andrew Everett. We have a trios match. Nyla Rose, The Bunny, and Penelope Ford versus Kris Statlander, Layla Hirsch, and Red Velvet. And the main event, we had the AEW World Tag Team Championships on the line. Jurassic Express, Jungle Boy, and Luchasaurus defend the titles against the Dark Order's Alex Reynolds and John Silver. Rampage opened up tonight with Adam Cole versus Trent Beretta. And this was a good match. This was a very enjoyable matchup here. We had Adam Cole end up coming out along with his girlfriend, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks, and Brandon Cutler. Trent Beretta came out along with Chucky T, Orange Cassidy, Wheeler Yuta, and Kris Statlander, the alien Kris Statlander. And Trent Beretta ended up getting the early advantage in the match on Adam Cole. He was delivered some chops to Adam Cole in the corner. He ended up catching Cole, delivered an overhead throw, which he took Adam Cole down. Beretta ended up battering Cole against the ropes with some punches. He delivered a low drop kick, which sent Adam Cole to the outside. Beretta ended up heading onto the ring apron. Adam Cole tripped Beretta up. He ended up sending him crashing down onto the apron and out to the floor. Adam Cole then ended up sending Beretta back into the ring. And Beretta was favoring his neck because of that spot there on the apron. So we had Adam Cole whipping Trent Beretta into the corner. Adam Cole followed it up with a Hangman's Neck Breaker. And he went for the cover, which Trent Beretta ended up kicking out. Trent Beretta ended up trying to fight back. Adam Cole ended up putting him back down with a pump kick, which Beretta ended up rolling to the outside. Adam Cole followed that up by attempting to hit the Panama Sunrise to the floor, but Beretta ended up backdropping Adam Cole. Beretta ended up going for the spear. Adam Cole ended up moving out of the way, and Trent Beretta ended up crashing into the barricade. Beretta then was fighting back when Rampage came back from the commercial, and he ended up delivering a German suplex to Adam Cole. Beretta ended up charging into the corner. He ended up hitting a back elbow, which he followed up with a swinging DDT on Adam Cole. Went for the cover. Cole kicked out at 2. So Beretta was charging at Adam Cole in the corner. Cole delivered a boot to Beretta. Cole ended up climbing to the second rope, and Beretta ended up cutting him off. Beretta then went to the top rope. He ended up bringing down Adam Cole with a superplex, and he went for the cover, which Cole kicked out at 2. So Beretta ended up picking up Adam Cole. Adam Cole ended up elbowing his way out, and he delivered a backstabber to Beretta. Cole ended up setting up for a super kick. He was stomping the mat like Shawn Michaels. Beretta ended up playing possum, and Adam Cole ended up walking into a takedown by Beretta. So later on, Adam Cole ended up climbing up to the second rope. Beretta ended up reversing the Panama Sunrise into a suplex, which was a good spot there. Beretta ended up charging into a super kick by Adam Cole. Cole ended up climbing up to the second rope again Beretta reversed another attempt at Adam Cole doing the Panama Sunrise. So he did that into a strong 0. Cole ended up getting his foot on the rope to break up the pin. So then we had everyone brawling at ringside. We had Britt Baker going at it with Kris Statlander. And, the guys out there all going at it. Adam Cole low-blowed Trent Beretta while the referee was distracted. Adam Cole then ended up hitting the boom on Beretta. He went for the cover. And there you go. Adam Cole ended up winning the match. Overall, this was an enjoyable match. This was a good match between Cole and Beretta. Thought they worked really well here in the match. Enjoyable match. And then we had a look at Thunder Rosa and Mercedes Martinez, the dealings between the both of them. Thunder Rosa ended up saying that next time she sees Mercedes Martinez, she wants to see her in the ring. So we're going to get that match at some point. Thunder Rosa versus Mercedes Martinez. Should be a good match there. And then we had Shawn Spears versus Andrew Everett. This was Andrew Everett's AEW debut. And this was a quick match. This was a squash match. Spears and Everett started trading holds. Spears was proud of himself. Everett ended up getting the better of Shawn Spears. He ended up trying to take Shawn Spears down with a springboard, but Spears ended up catching him, and Spears ended up hitting the C4. And that was that. Shawn Spears ended up winning the match because of him hitting the C4. Post-match, Shawn Spears got on the mic. He ended up asking, is he really the best in the world? Of course, he was referring to CM Punk. So Spears was like, what about me? Spears ended up saying that he's the guy MJF sends when he wants to send a message. Spears ended up saying that he'll never apologize. He ended up saying that he's the guy you never see coming. He ended up saying one swing with his steel chair and Punk will remember him forever. So we had the crowd chanting for Wardlow, which when Shawn Spears ended up winning the match, Wardlow didn't seem too thrilled. He looked like he didn't want to be out there next to Shawn Spears. So Shawn Spears ended up saying that he's not a one-move wonder. He's one of the best wrestlers on the planet. He ended up saying that CM Punk can't hang anymore. So Spears ended up saying that he's going to expose Punk this Wednesday on Dynamite. So that was what Shawn Spears had to say. But it should be a good matchup this Wednesday on Dynamite between Shawn Spears and CM Punk. All I know is that CM Punk is going to come out winning the match. And then we had the Acclaimed. Max Caster and Anthony Bowens. They ended up doing a rap music video where they were dissing Darby Allin and Sting. And Max Caster was rapping about two grown men. And they're going through a goth phase. And he had these guys in white face paint. So, but all I gotta say was, I actually liked this little music video done by the Acclaimed. So, but got some enjoyment out of it. Shows that they are not done with Sting and Darby Allin. And then we had the trios match, the women's trios match. Kris Statlander, the alien Kris Statlander, Red Velvet, and Layla Hirsch versus Nyla Rose, Penelope Ford, and the Bunny. Of course, Kris Statlander and Layla Hirsch, they haven't been getting along that well. So Statlander was in the ring. She was going to start off the match against Nyla Rose. But Layla Hirsch ended up taking herself in. So Layla Hirsch and Nyla Rose ended up starting it off. Nyla Rose ended up getting the advantage. She ended up taking down Leyla Hirsch with the belly-to-belly. Hirsch ended up getting the way. Statlander ended up taking herself in. So here was Kris Statlander and the Bunny, who also came in. Statlander took down the Bunny, started controlling her with a front headlock. And we had Statlander delivering a power slam to the Bunny. So the Bunny ended up kicking out at 2. Red Velvet ended up coming in. Red Velvet and Kris Statlander ended up double teaming on the Bunny. Red Velvet ended up taking in Leyla Hirsch. And there was more offense on the Bunny. Hirsch ended up grabbing the Bunny by the arm. And Leyla Hirsch didn't want Kris Statlander tagging her. Red Velvet tagged herself in. And they ended up giving the Bunny time to tag in Nyla Rose. So Nyla Rose ended up hitting a chokeslam on Red Velvet. And Nyla Rose ended up missing a senton. Red Velvet ended up going to the corner, tagged in Kris Statlander. And Penelope Ford came in. Kris Statlander had some offense on Penelope Ford in the corner. And we have Penelope Ford end up raking the eyes of Kris Statlander. And Penelope Ford got caught by Kris Statlander. She bent over backward in a submission move. Penelope Ford ended up escaping and tagged in the Bunny. So Kris Statlander catched the Bunny and delivered the Blue Thunder Bomb. And the Bunny ended up kicking out. Leyla Hirsch ended up tagging in. The Bunny ended up pushing Hirsch into Statlander, and the Bunny ended up rolling up Leyla Hirsch. And there you go. Nyla Rose, Penelope Ford, and the Bunny ended up winning the match. Overall, the match was just very meh, in my opinion. And then we had a pre-recorded promo by Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky. And Dan Lambert was also there. Scorpio Sky ended up wanting Cody Rhodes and Sammy Guevara, and to figure out who is the one true TNT champion. So Scorpio Sky wants to challenge the winner. So he wants a shot at the TNT championship. So that was what Scorpio Sky had to say. He really wants that shot at the TNT championship. So then Ricky Starks ended up calling out Jay Lethal. Ricky Starks was on commentary for the show, and throughout the show he was just basically talking about Jay Lethal. So Jay Lethal ended up coming out. Lethal ended up saying that he's been watching what's been happening between Dante Martin and Team Taz, and it makes him sick. So Jay Lethal noticed that there aren't many challengers for Ricky Starks' FTW Championship. Lethal ended up mentioning that the FTW Championship isn't officially recognized by AEW. Lethal ended up wanting a match against Starks for the FTW Championship. So Lethal was like, oh, does that have to go through your daddy, meaning Taz? So Starks ended up getting up, and the referees ended up running out. They got between Starks and Jay Lethal, and that was that. So looks like we're possibly going to get the match at some point. Ricky Starks versus Jay Lethal for the FTW Championship. So that should be a good matchup there. And then they went over what we're going to see on Dynamite this Wednesday. Of course, we're going to be in the mixed tag team match. Orange Cassidy and Kris Statlander versus Adam Cole and Britt Baker. CM Punk versus Shawn Spears. Sting and Darby Allin versus The Acclaimed. Serena Deeb versus Sky Blue. FTR versus Lee Johnson and Brock Anderson. Cody Rhodes is going to return this Wednesday on Dynamite after he was out with COVID. And it's going to be the House of Black, Malachi Black, and Brody King versus the Varsity Blondes, Griff Garrison and Brian Pillman Jr. So that's what we're going to see on Dynamite this Wednesday. Should be a good show, as always. And then we have Mark Henry. Mark Henry ended up interviewing Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus, also John Silver and Alex Reynolds. John Silver and Alex Reynolds end up playing the Dark Order theme on kazoos, of course referencing to when Christian played kazoos with Edge, back in the Attitude Era, which that was classic material right there. Whenever Christian and Edge would play the kazoos, it was great. So Christian ended up getting the joke. Of course he got the joke because they were referencing him when he used to play the kazoo with Edge. So he ended up saying that they're not on Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus level, both John Silver and Alex Reynolds. And pretty much that was that. And then we went to the match. This was the main event. Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus versus John Silver and Alex Reynolds, where the AEW World Tag Team titles were on the line. Of course, you had Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus come out along with Christian Cage. John Silver and Alex Reynolds came out along with Evil Uno and Anna Jay. And this was a very good main event here. Really enjoyed this match. Jungle Boy and Alex Reynolds end up starting it off. They trade some holds. Jungle Boy hit a springboard arm drag, take down Alex Reynolds. Jungle Boy tagged in Luchasaurus. He ended up putting Alex Reynolds down with an overhand chop. Jungle Boy ended up taking back in, ended up hitting a assisted senton from the top rope onto Reynolds. Reynolds ended up catching Jungle Boy in a backslide. Silver tagged in, took down Jungle Boy with a boot and a back body drop. So John Silver was on the ring apron. Silver ended up battling back, ended up catching a dive by Jungle Boy into a suplex on the floor. We had Alex Reynolds followed up with a dive to take down Jungle Boy. And Silver and Reynolds were in control of Jungle Boy as Rampage came back from the commercial. We had Jungle Boy end up taking a Luchasaurus. Luchasaurus ended up splashing down on both Silver and Reynolds. Luchasaurus then grabbed Silver and delivered a choke slam, but Reynolds ended up saving him. Luchasaurus ended up grabbing both Silver and Reynolds. He ended up choke slamming Silver onto Reynolds, and he ended up going for the cover. Silver ended up kicking out at 2. So there was a point later on in the match where all 4 guys were trading kicks. Silver ended up drop kicking Luchasaurus to the outside. Silver and Reynolds ended up hitting a combination on Jungle Boy, which these spots here were awesome in the match. Really enjoyed these spots from all 4 guys. And there was a point where it led to a Tower of Doom where Luchasaurus ended up grabbing Silver in a powerbomb position, where you had Silver end up grabbing Jungle Boy from behind. It led to a Tower of Doom spot that took down all 4 guys, which was awesome. Jungle Boy recovered with a clothesline, ended up taking Silver down onto Evil Uno outside the ring. So we had Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus hit a combination on Alex Reynolds, and we had Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus win the match. They retained the AEW World Tag Team Championship. And that was Rampage. That was how Rampage went off the air. Overall, awesome match. Really enjoyed it. Good wrestling here from all 4 guys. But enjoyable show Rampage was. But anyways, that's it for my review of SmackDown and AEW Rampage. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. And definitely give the video a thumbs up, comment, subscribe. And I'll see you all later.